Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm Hari, and today we look at a truly historic church practice that actually gave us one of our most common modern words for favoritism.
Hey there, I'm Kimi, and yes, if you've ever complained about someone getting a job just because they're related to the boss, you have the historical institution of the cardinal-nephew to thank. That's where the word nepotism literally comes from. The Latin word nepos means nephew, and the English term popped up around 1669 to describe this exact ecclesiastical setup.
It's wild to think about. For centuries, a pope appointing a relative, most commonly a nephew, to the College of Cardinals wasn't just a quiet favor, it was the standard operating procedure. In fact, from the middle of the Avignon papacy in the 14th century all the way until 1692, a pope who didn't have a cardinal-nephew was considered the rare exception. Every single Renaissance pope who appointed cardinals made sure to put a relative in the mix.
And it wasn't just about giving your nephew a nice title, Hari. These guys were often given incredible power and vast wealth. Take Alessandro Farnese, the famous cardinal-nephew of Pope Paul III. This guy held 64 benefices, essentially lucrative church offices or properties, simultaneously, along with being the vice-chancellor. Imagine trying to manage 64 different high-paying side hustles while running the church.
That is an astronomical level of multitasking, Kimi. And the money involved was staggering. Pope Pius IV transferred over 350,000 scudi to his relatives in the mid-16th century. But let's rewind a bit. This practice started way back in the Middle Ages. The very first known cardinal-nephew was Lotario, who was the cousin of Pope Benedict VIII, elevated around the year 1015. Benedict VIII actually liked the family vibe so much that he also elevated his brother Romanus, who later became Pope John XIX, and his nephew, the future Pope Benedict IX.
Talk about keeping it in the family, but the whole system really evolved. By 1566, Pope Pius V formalized this role into an actual curial office, the superintendent of the ecclesiastical state, which people just called the cardinal-nephew for short. This official became a sort of prime minister or alter ego of the pontiff. Whenever a new cardinal-nephew was created, they'd literally fire off the cannons at Castel Sant'Angelo in celebration.
Imagine getting a promotion and your boss fires cannons. But it wasn't all ceremonial. The cardinal-nephew was the actual captain general of the papal army, handled foreign relations, and was the liaison for all papal nuncios. They were essentially the channel through which church benefices flowed one way and gold flowed back the other. And some of these nephews became legendary for their wealth. Look at Scipione Borghese, the cardinal-nephew to Pope Paul V. Historians consider him the absolute prototype. He used his position to permanently elevate the Borghese family into the high Roman aristocracy. During his uncle's pontificate, about 4% of the total income of the entire Holy See was transferred directly to his family. His personal income went from a modest 4,900 scudi in 1592 to an incredible 153,000 scudi by 1610.
That is a massive pay raise. And then you have Ludovico Ludovisi, the nephew of Gregory XV. He was known as Il Cardinale Pradone, literally the cardinal boss. He pulled in over 200,000 scudi annually. When he died, he was able to pass down 23 abbeys, a bishopric, and multiple top offices to 17 of his secular kinsmen. Popes even set up special theological committees to officially approve letting these cardinal-nephews leave their church wealth to their secular family members.
It really was an empire-building strategy. But here's a fascinating twist, Hari. You didn't always have to be an actual nephew. If a pope didn't have a nephew, it was actually a major political asset because they could offer this powerful role to an ally. For example, Pope Clement X gave the office to Cardinal Paoluzzi Altieri, whose nephew had married the sole heiress of Clement's family. And then there's the famous case of Pope Innocent X. His sister-in-law, Olimpia Maidalchini, was widely considered the de facto cardinal-nephew. The official post went through her family, but she was the real power broker.
Ah, yes, Olympia. She was so influential that during the conclave after Innocent X died, she was actually invited to address the cardinals from within their enclosure. She's the only woman ever to receive that honor. But this level of nepotism eventually sparked major pushback. Pope Innocent XI despised the practice. He tried 3 separate times to get a papal bull passed to ban nepotism between 1677 and 1686, but the College of Cardinals blocked him. He even refused to let his own nephew, Livio Odescalchi, come to Rome.
But the party couldn't last forever. The final blow came in 1692 when Pope Innocent XII issued his famous papal bull Romanum Decet Pontificem. This historic bull officially banned the office of cardinal-nephew, limited future popes to only elevating one cardinal relative, and capped their salary at 12,000 scudi. That reform was eventually written directly into the Code of Canon Law. And it's interesting to see how the role transitioned. As the power of the cardinal-nephews faded, the office of the Cardinal Secretary of State rose to take its place, using professional bureaucrats instead of family. Still, the legacy of these family networks in the Catholic Church is immense. At least 15 and possibly up to 19 popes started out as cardinal-nephews themselves, including giants like Julius II and Leo X.
It's an incredible legacy of power, beautiful art patronage, and family ambition that shaped Europe for 700 years. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive today. I hope you all enjoyed this look into the history of papal power plays.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you on the very next episode.
This episode is based on the Wikipedia article Cardinal-Nephew, which is available under the Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike license. This podcast was crafted using artificial intelligence.